the best of both worlds. The dream your mother and I dedicated our lives to preserve.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing swell. I hope you're doing dandy and spiffing. Welcome to Tim's Beautiful Gems. This is going to be a new series where I'll be looking at movies and TV shows that I really love, and I'll be explaining to you why I really love them, looking at the different points and why I will actually call them gems as well. So, just as a little warning, this does have juicy spoilers in it. So if you don't like those awful things called spoilers, please come back another time. But we do insist you do come back, because it'll be kind of cool if you do come back. So anyways, if you're still here and you don't care about spoilers, we're looking forward to talking about the beauty of today's film, which is Man of Steel. So, why do I think Man of Steel is a special film? Most Superman movies are tied to Christopher Reeve's Superman. So Superman the movie came out in 1978. So a lot of films after that and a lot of live action depictions of Superman have not only just taken inspiration, but have become shackled to exactly what that version of Superman is. There's not a lot of variation, which is a good thing in terms of it's a good standard, but it has become a negative thing. It's not allowed the Superman franchise to develop and modernize, which is what you see with other franchises. So for example, there's various different interpretations of Batman, which has allowed Batman to grow, and different directors. So for example, some people love the film The Batman, but then other people love the film The Dark Knight. All of those are modernized or adapted in different ways, which give slightly different flavors to the same character. But Superman has not become that, unfortunately. Comics, games, and animated shows have tried things differently with Superman, but most, so I'm not saying all, but most live action adaptations have been too afraid to try or do anything different. Because when they have, you've had certain fans be like, oh, well, I like it this way and it can't ever change. Superman has to be like this. And that's exactly how all of them sound. I'm kidding, of course. But that's why we have this film, Enter Man of Steel. Many people say Zack Snyder doesn't or didn't get Superman because it's too dark, blah, blah, blah. But, as T'Challa would say,
you are wrong! All of you are wrong!
Many people replace their opinions with fact. So it's gone beyond saying, actually, I prefer this. It's now people are saying, no, this is factual. There can only be one Superman. There'll never be another Superman that's any good or anything like that. The issue with that is now every Superman that comes after is basically just a remaster of the original film, which is good if you like that, but if you don't like that, then it will put newcomers potentially off the franchise. Whereas we see with Man of Steel, that is different. Man of Steel looks at the Superman, how he would be in the real world, reimagines what he is and what he is as well. It's a proto-Superman in a way. The theme is different, the outfit is different, the hair is slightly different, And the whole film shows what it would be like for a man with powers in the real world, rather than a fantasy one. So what makes it special to me? A few things. We're going to try and narrow it down to 2 things. Let's see if I can keep it to it. We have consequences and we have show, don't tell. So a good example of showing, not telling was General Zod. He didn't have to have people tell you how bad he was. The only time people said how bad he was after they had already fought the Kryptonians in general. We didn't have to be told, we simply saw his motivations were having Kryptonians be first, the most important thing. You could see by his actions. He didn't have to say, oh, gee whiz Superman, these are my intentions, I plan to do nefarious things and scheme. He did talk to Clark, Superman, about what his plans were, but he only did that because he was trying to convince him. And once he found out that Superman wasn't on board, he was like, well, it's the chopping block for you. He had a purpose and wasn't a moustache twirling villain to a degree. He wasn't even a misunderstood villain. He did everything in the film intentionally. So his speeches, his actions, and he didn't react unless he needed to. It's also interesting he's only a villain to us because, you know, we're humans and we do like that thing called surviving. It's pretty important. But he put Superman in an awful position. He was an amazing villain. Another example was it took Superman years to train his abilities, yet Zod took a few minutes during battle to learn and use these abilities. So this actually ties into the next point, was the consequences that this film kept bringing up. So, for example, with the fight of Zod and Superman at the end, Superman had to do the thing that he did at the end. He couldn't talk Zod down. This is a big talking point by a lot of people. They said, why couldn't he talk Zod down? Now, we're all allowed our own interpretation, so I'm not going to say definitively this is what it means. But from my point of view, it's clear that Superman couldn't have talked Zod down because he even says himself that there's no other way.
There's only one way this ends, Cal. Either you die or I do.
Zod was far more skilled than him, and if we looked at how his abilities increased in only a few minutes compared to fighting Superman, it was only a matter of time before he really outmatched Superman.
I was bred to be a warrior, Cal. Trained my entire life to master my senses. Where did you train? On a farm?
Superman had been here for about 33 years at this point. He hadn't been Superman the whole time, but because he was new and a novice, he didn't know how to counteract a lot of the things that Zod was doing. He just used brute strength. Many films have things that happen without any repercussions, but not this movie. Superman gets his suit and is not trained, which means he takes longer to learn to use these abilities, as I was just saying. And he has these immense, crazy powers, and then basically as soon as he gets these powers and told about his actual family and origins, he's fighting to the death with someone who's a skilled fighter and who will literally fight him to the death. It resulted in the city being destroyed as a result, because maybe a seasoned Superman would have been able to keep that away. But unfortunately, because he is inexperienced, all of these things combined meant the city would be destroyed, and also Zod has no care for the city as well. So I like the consequences and the show and don't tell of this film. So what makes this film stand out to me? Man of Steel tries to do things differently, but manages to mix a combination of the soundtrack, the visuals, story, and the different casting all into an amazing movie that for me is a really beautiful gem. So those are my thoughts, those are my feelings on the Man of Steel. In my opinion, one of the best comic book films I've seen. It left a big impact on me, and I think it's one of the only films I've watched. It was on the TV and on the DVD. Yes, I still watch DVDs. I watched it recently on the Blu-ray as well. Like, you guys should get Blu-ray or 4K. I'd highly suggest that. But it's something that I watched 3 times in one weekend because I enjoy the film so much. The soundtrack, Hans Zimmer. If you know anything about me, you know I'm a big fan of Hans Zimmer. The music in this is amazing, and I think it was all done really well in terms of modernizing Superman, making him more realistic as well, and also as well just making him more human in a way. He didn't make the perfect choice, but he tried to do the best with what he had, and I think that's a nice way for us to finish off this video. Hope you're all having a good day. Hope you're keeping safe, and you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be a man in spandex or got underwear on the outside of your outfit. Just do the best that you can with what you do have. Look forward to hearing from you. Look forward to seeing you soon, and keep safe. Toodles.